Okay, so before we get rolling here, I want to tell you who this webinar is for. If you're an attorney or law firm considering advertising online, you'll get tremendous value from this webinar. If you're currently advertising with pay-per-click marketing, you stand to learn some of the ways to improve your campaigns. That being said, let's go ahead and get going with today's agenda. We're going to be covering what pay-per-click is. I know for a lot of you, pay-per-click is new, so we'll just do a brief overview there. Then, 12 steps to effective use of pay-per-click for your law firm, and then a handful of must-know tips and strategies and a bit more of the advanced side for those of you that are already doing pay-per-click and are looking at ways to take it to the next level. Okay, Act 1. What is pay-per-click, or PPC as is commonly referred to? PPC is search advertising. What exactly does that mean? Well, there are all kinds of forms of advertising. Search advertising in particular is advertising on the search engines targeting people who are searching for specific terms in those search engines. Here you can see Google AdWords, which is by far and away the 800-pound gorilla in the space. Then you have Yahoo and Bing, which combined a handful of years ago in an effort to give Google a run for their money. And they are in a distant second place, but it's still a strong contender and are experiencing some decent growth now. However, I'm sure you're very familiar with Google's search engine in particular, although some of you may prefer to use Yahoo or Bing for some search engines. Regardless, in either one of the search engines, you have a search box where you type in a phrase or something you're looking for, and when you do, you get results in the search engines. This is Google's search results for Los Angeles DUI attorney. You can see here that the results come in two columns, left column and right column. Now, I'm sure most of you are aware of this, but if you look closely, all of the right column results are ads. In this case, the top several results in yellow are ads. This is search advertising or PPC advertising being done by these firms targeting the phrase Los Angeles DUI attorney or maybe DUI attorney LA or just DUI attorney, depending on what campaign they have created for the law firm. We'll talk a little bit more about this in detail, but this is search advertising or PPC advertising. Really, anytime you're searching, typically, you look towards the top and towards the right, and you'll see advertising being done on a PPC basis with the search engines. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry and has been an engine of growth and the engine of massive riches for Google. This is what has allowed them to become the most influential business over the last decade or so. You can see in 2012 that 95% of Google's $50 billion in revenue came from advertising. This is massive, massive opportunity, and for these search engines to really create a cash gusher in the form of this PPC advertising. As I mentioned earlier, Yahoo and Bing have joined forces now, about 30% of the market they have, but you can see over here in the industry has become so big and so lucrative and touches so many businesses in so many ways that have companies like ComScore and other companies that really create this whole cottage industry just out studying what is going on in the PPC marketplace, where the money's being spent, how effective it is, and all that kind of good stuff. You see here in terms of search share, in March 2013, Google had 67.1% of the market. If you combine Microsoft and Yahoo, they're close to 30%, although they're not quite there yet. It's very, very huge industry and very lucrative industry. And it's very powerful for these search engines and also for the businesses and advertisers that know how to take advantage of the PPC advertising. You can see here top 10 industries advertising on Google AdWords. AdWords is the name of Google's PPC advertising program. The top 10 industries are finance, travel, shopping, jobs and education, internet and telecom, computers and electronics, business and industrial, which is pretty broad category, home and garden, auto and vehicles, beauty and fitness. Just about everyone and everything you can imagine falls into one of these top 10 categories. And it's not that on that list, I can assure you that no matter what industry it is, people are still doing PPC advertising, even if it's not in this top 10 here. There is success being had across every industry when it comes to PPC advertising. No matter what area of law you're in or you sit in and listen to this presentation, I can assure you that there are opportunities to successfully take advantage of PPC advertising for your firm. Again, here are some interesting stats. As I said, it has become a cottage industry to study everything that is happening in the PPC marketplace. There are huge, huge amounts of data out there And there is some pretty interesting data depending on what industry you're in, and you can see some of the numbers. It's nice because you can get some benchmarks as to how your ads or your campaigns are performing against other people in your industry. How does this industry that popped up from nothing about a dozen years ago now do about 50 billion or 100 billion or whatever it is in business? How does it all work? Well, as an advertiser, it's actually quite simple. You create ads and you set bids for those ads. In other words, how much are you willing to pay per click, which is why it's called pay per click or PPC. You then total budgets. You could say, I'm willing to spend $1 a click and I have $100 a day to spend. Theoretically, you could get $100 worth of clicks per, for what you bid. But there are some nuances there. So just because you bid $1 doesn't necessarily mean you're going to pay as high as $1. You may actually pay less. However, you won't pay more, so you could actually get more than 100 clicks there. It's pretty simple. You create the ad and set the bid and the budget. And as you can see here, this is the creation inside of a Google AdWords program. You can see how simple it is, right? You have a headline, description line 1, description line 2, display URL, which is the URL showing in the ad, and the destination URL, which is the actual location to which you're going to send the person who clicks on this ad. This is going to be a little different than the display URL. It's very, very simple process, but once you've created the ad, you have the bid, then the ads appear based on specific keyword searches. If I was to target, say, this ad when I was creating my campaign to searches for the term personal injury attorney, this ad would show up. Again, it's pretty simple, and as always with everything, there are the details and nuances once you get into these programs of how to do it most effectively. There's a lot to this particular case, but the basics of it is pretty simple. Searchers who click through are taken to your page of choice, which is this destination URL. The destination you're sending them to. Your account then gets charged until the maximum budget is reached. Pretty straightforward. So what are the advantages of PPC? Why is this caught on so widely? Well, first off, ads only appear on relevant searches. When you consider any other form of advertising, you're sending an ad out to the world for somebody to see regardless of whether or not they have actually expressed any interest in seeing that ad. In search advertising and PPC advertising, people have typed in certain words. So you're only showing your ad to people who have typed in relevant keyword or keyword phrase. Your ads are very, very targeted, and which is the real allure of these ad programs. I mean, it can be very targeted advertising and targeted spending. The other major allure is that you're only paying when someone clicks on the ad. If you show that ad, or for whatever reason the person who saw the ad was the wrong person to see it, they're not interested, and so they don't click on the ad and you're not charged. Again, this is very, very powerful, and it's a very compelling concept when it comes to advertising. There's very little advertising that works this way. It's easy to measure ROI. The beauty of doing online advertising is that everything is captured and every detail is tracked. It's very simple to track how these ads are doing for you. In fact, businesses are tracking at making $2 in revenue for every dollar spent on PPC advertising. You have a high ROI, easy to measure ROI, a very attractive pay per performance model, and ads only appear on very targeted, relevant searches. When you combine all those things, you can see why PPC advertisement has taken off. It levels the playing field for many advertisers. If you consider the number of firms out there that can't possibly afford to compete on advertising budget with massive law firms, PPC advertising brings a whole new opportunity for those small to mid-sized firms with smaller budgets to still compete. You can't compete with Baker and McKenzie on CBS or on radio ads. There's no way you could possibly. The firm just absolutely blankets the market with their advertising. However, you can compete absolutely directly head-on with those firms when it comes to specific search terms in the search engines. You have the ability to run ads against the biggest firms. I have the ability to show up on the first page of Google or Bing just by placing an ad and being willing to pay for it. Even if my site does not rank organically well on these search engines, I can make sure that I show up. Here is an ad for Best Bankruptcy Attorney LA, a very, very competitive market where there's tons and tons of potential clients. As you can see there, this firm, which is smaller, can compete with some of the big boys. Well, if this website doesn't rank organically because somebody else has been doing bankruptcy in LA for decades and they've been on the #1 spot for Google, they can still compete by running ads and showing up on page 1. This gives instant reach to a massive amount of qualified prospects and allows you to skip that organic SEO waiting game that can be so painful and unreliable. This is a very, very attractive advertising model for all kinds of firms, but I think particularly smaller to mid-sized firms looking to absolutely get the highest bang for their buck when it comes to their advertising. What is PPC advertising? Okay, so let's move on to Act 2, 12 steps to effective use of PPC for your law firm. As I mentioned earlier, creating an ad, creating a campaign is very simple, but there are a lot of planning that goes into it. And there's a lot of nuances in how to do it the most effectively. In my business, we do PPC management for lawyers, and I find that most attorneys, because it's so simple and easy to set up campaigns, do so by trying to take advantage of PPC. However, because they have a full-time business they're running, they don't have the time to pay attention to the details and nuances of setting up a campaign effectively. They end up with poor results and a lot of wasted money in the process. These 12 steps are going to give you fundamentals to setting up your campaigns and managing your campaigns properly. Okay, so the first step is to define a clear goal. For a law firm, it's pretty much boils down to capturing a lead or getting a phone call. You're trying to get somebody to ask for more information about your firm's services. It's important that you're clear about what is realistic for your firm and that you define a clear goal. You then think through the actual sales or marketing funnel that you plan on bringing that prospect, trying to turn them into revenue. This diagram represents a sales funnel laid out on its side. It says, we have 10,000 total visitors on a site. 6,000 of those visited our shopping area, and 1,800 of them actually placed something in their cart, and 54 took some type of action. You're able to visualize and measure every step of the way, then strategically plan for the best way to get a prospect through the funnel, therefore create the best ad to run to make it possible. Defining a clear goal is absolutely critical. You need to make sure you're clear about what you're looking for. Of course, your strategy and your campaign, how much you're willing to spend on it, and things like that will vary. All right, step number 2, research your competitors. You always want to get out there and take a look at what your competitors are doing. Who seems to be the strongest? Who's out there running campaigns with the most keywords? Who's running campaigns as consistently as possible? If you see that a competitor is running ads every single day for a big variety of keywords and they've been doing it for months and months and months, well, it's quite possible that this competitor is doing pretty well with those ads. Go and study what their ads look like. When you click on the ad, where does it take you? What does their funnel look like? If you opt into a page for a request for services, how are they keeping in touch with you? How are they trying to convert you into the most lucrative client you can be? This is a fantastic market research vehicle because all of your competitors' ads are essentially right in front of you for you to see. Next, you want to do keyword research. Step number 3, do keyword research. Okay, so keyword research means that you can essentially peer into the guts of the search engines to see what people are searching for, how often they're searching for it, how competitive those keywords are in terms of other advertisement bidding for them, how much those terms cost to bid on. It's really amazing how much information you can get from the search engines to help you plan your campaigns. With search advertising, it's all based on keyword or keyword phrase that somebody is searching for. This is how you base the target of your ad campaign. It's based on the keyword or keyword phrases. You want to discover exactly what people are looking for. You want to learn their preferred keywords too. This is really important. You need to realize that the language you use for your products and services may not be the same language used by your prospects. You really want to investigate this, especially those that are in the legal practice where there's a lot of buzzwords and industry-specific jargon. Your clients may not be aware of that jargon like you are. They maybe use a totally different language, so it's important that you don't just assume that your language is the language of your clients. Get in there and do the research and find out. You can see here that in this form from the inside of Google, Google changes up their tools for doing keyword research all the time. Here's a screenshot about the keyword attorney. Okay, it shows you the amount of people searching for it in a month. You can see the estimated average cost per bid. This is how much it's estimated it costs for you to click on these keywords. With advertisement competition, you can see there's high, medium, or low. This one marked as high, which means that it's very, very competitive. You can see the search volume in 1 month. I mean, look at the search volume here. It's 40,500 searches in 1 month for the term attorney. This data is really, really, really cool, and you can get a lot from it from the search engines. Okay, so step number 4, choose your destination wisely. When you're paying for somebody to click on your ad, you want to make sure that when they click on, you're sending them to the right place to get that desired result that you're looking for. A lot of PPC advertisers make a big mistake when they send everybody to the very same page, and it's usually just the home page of their website, and that's a very, very ineffective way to get the most from your advertisement budget. Decide where you're going to send the visitors that click through, and you want to make sure that the destination is consistent with the ad message. In this case, DUI attorney, if I had done a search for DUI attorney in Los Angeles, then I was brought to a landing page that said DUI Las Vegas, it's obviously going to be a poor fit. It's not in alignment with the message I was expecting to see, so I'm most likely going to hit the back button in my browser and look for one of their competitors. You can see you want to make sure that the destination is consistent with the ad message. When somebody sees a certain message on an ad and they click on it, they should be very, very similar, if not the same message on the page where they ended up. In this case, you can see very clearly that they're hoping to get you to call or fill out the form to become a lead. They've made that very prominent, and it made it quite simple. You can see they've put it, you have to put in your full name, your email address, your phone number, and the best email to get in contact by this law firm. This page, you'll notice it's very simple. There's not a ton of options. And you can fill out the form or call, or honestly, you can leave the page. There's nothing else but some images and some text telling you what you're about to get into, and that's pretty much it. And it's designed this way on purpose. By eliminating the options of the person who visits that page, I am more likely to get them to take action on what I want them to do. So be clear on what you're hoping the person does at the destination to which you take them to, and design that page 100% around making that action happen. Step number 5, create a high converting ad. This is where the magic happens in PPC advertisement. If you can write a good, high-performing ad, you can absolutely crush your competitors when they don't do a good job at it. If you're going to do PPC advertising, you really want to know the best practices of successful ads. You want to spend some time studying those best practices. Study your competition. Study people writing ads effectively in other industries, and learn from those best practices and incorporate them into your ads. You want to be careful reviewing your headline, your message, your offer, and the destination page. Those are the biggies. You definitely want to spend a good amount of time refining those, testing those, and tweaking them to try to make them better and better over time. As much as possible, you want to differentiate yourself and your offer and make it stand out from the crowd. If you look at any industry, you'll see that many advertisers within that industry are offering pretty much the same thing. Obviously, this makes it hard for a prospect to decide which ad is the most effective and attractive if they're all offering essentially the same thing. So look for opportunities to differentiate your offer and make it stand out from the competition. Step number 6, add some local flavor. If you're going to go after local customers, make your ads local in nature. It's a proven way to boost the effectiveness of your ads and boost the ROI of your campaigns. You can see here that Los Angeles bankruptcy is local to the Los Angeles or the Los Angeles address. See, this lets the user know that you're relevant to what they're looking for. There are a number of things you can do in your ads to make them local. I actually had an associate of mine use the phrase wicked schmat. In some ads, they were running in Boston to accomplish this. Now, if you were, someone from Boston, you would understand that and know what they were talking about. There's a number of different options. In the advanced portion of this training, I'm going to show you a couple more things you can do. Step number 7, place the right bid. This is the way PPC advertisement works. If you bid highest along with the combination of other factors, you can try to bid your way to the top of the willingness to literally pay more per click for your competition. This doesn't guarantee your position in the top spot, but in a big part of how you get to the top. This is the key. Being first may not always be the best, and here's the reason. This top spot tends to get a lot of junk clicks. People see it as the first thing and they show up on the page and they just click on it. This may or may not be the best place you want to be. It's the same with number 2 spot. It may be much better for you to, be over here where people are more thoroughly and thoughtfully taking time to determine if yours and your ad is really what they want to click on. Those higher positions can cost a lot more too. So often positions 3 and 4 are actually the ideal position in terms of ROI. It's all about ROI, right? You want to see how you're doing per dollar invested. Place the right bid. Sometimes it's doing something which you have to experiment with over time to see which will bring the best results for you. Step number 8, focus on profitable keywords. When you create campaigns, you're running campaigns for 100 different keywords. You may find that you get all your conversions or all the sales or all the leads or whatever it is from only 5 of those keywords. Essentially, 95% are doing nothing for you. People make the mistake of not going in and checking the keyword performance reports on a regular basis to see what's working for them. You're potentially wasting a huge percent of your budget if you have 95% out of 100 keywords that are not doing anything for you while you're continuing to spend money on them. You want to find the winning keyword phrases that get you results, and you want to focus on those keywords and spend as much money as possible. Focus on spending the ones that are getting you results, then milk them for as long as possible as you can. At the same time, have a test budget, maybe 10% of your budget, where you're testing new keywords all the time because language changes. People use different phrases based on things they hear in the media, changes in your industry or changes in your services and things like that. You just want to make sure that you're looking for new keywords and updating your keywords on a regular basis with a little test budget. You want to try to make sure that you're keeping up with the changes that are happening. Step number 9, measure your results. Again, the beauty of online marketing is that everything can be measured. You definitely want to make sure that you have the right system in place to be able to measure everything you should. Otherwise, you're just throwing money away. Just as with the keywords, if you don't have that report to tell you that 95% of 100 of your keywords are not performing, then you're throwing money away. It's the same thing with the data you can get on every step of your sales process. For most local businesses, having some sort of call tracking technology is an absolute must. People will pick up the phone to call you after they've clicked on your ad. This is the preferred way a lot of people do business. They like to pick up the phone and call. So you definitely want to have those phone numbers on there and have call tracking to be able to test. Place Google Analytics across your web pages. Google Analytics is a nice free program and a very, very powerful program provided by Google that gives you data as to how everything in your sales funnel and your websites are working, what kind of attention you're getting from people, what kind of behaviors they exhibit, and while they're on your site. Measure the entire customer journey. Okay, you can see here in a digital dashboard where you can see the unique visitors to a site. You can see where they all came from. You can see the average time on a site. You can see how the behavior that they did on the site. What number of pages did they visit? How many times did you get visitors there? What social actions did they take? You can see the outcomes and see how many of them actually achieved the goal you were looking for. It may be calling a number or filling out a form. Whatever it is, you can actually track everything that's going on and assign dollar values to it so you can clearly see ROI from the specific campaigns you're running. Again, everything can be tracked online. There's literally no excuse not to track all the details you need to track in order to have good information about your campaigns. Step number 10, focus on ROI, not on costs. As I said earlier, it's all about ROI. I point this out again because a lot of people who are new to PPC marketing see an expensive keyword in terms or a very competitive term and they chicken out. They say, oh no, this is way too expensive. It's way too competitive. I don't want to go ahead and waste my money there. However, it's really not about the cost of the keyword. It's about the ROI from the campaign. A more expensive keyword can get a much, much better conversion than a less expensive keyword. The ROI on it can actually be much higher. So you have to use the data to your advantage. You have to measure the results you're getting from those keywords, measure the cost per lead, measure the cost per customer, measure the revenue you're getting from those campaigns, and tie it back to the keywords to see which ones actually have the highest ROI. Step number 11, use remarketing. If you're not familiar with remarketing is a very cool advertising technology that allows you to follow your target audience around the web. What do I mean by that? Well, if somebody comes to visit your website, you can drop a little cookie in their browser and it will then tell the browser to display your ads as that person is surfing around in other places on the internet. After they've left your site, let's say they go to CNN.com, while they're at CNN.com, they can still see your ad of your brand. And this is very, very cool technology, and it's literally like you're stalking them on the internet. It's a very powerful technology for advertising because once somebody has visited your site, there's obviously some interest there. By showing them another ad that they've left when they left your site, you have a much better chance of re-engaging them and getting them back to your site to make some sort of purchase. This is very, very cool advertising technology, and it will definitely do a ton to keep your brand top of mind with those prospects. You can see an example here. I saw this DUI ad on another site I was browsing. The DUI ad is following me around on the web since I've visited their site. Again, this is a pretty cool example of remarketing here. Step number 12, always, always, always split test. What do I mean by split test? Split test means that you can run two different ads and change something about those ads in order to determine if the changes made a difference in the performance of the ad. If you're just running one ad and you're only getting data for that one ad, you don't know if you could be doing better by running an ad with a slight change. When it comes to direct marketing, this is fundamental. You split test all the time, and it allows you to continuously measure and improve to optimize your ads. You can see here all the ads for a personal injury campaign. You can see that there's a split test going on here. They're using the very same headline across all three, so they're not testing the headline. However, look at the message in the ad. Here, they have split test the message in the body of the ad to see if one performs better than the other. You want to test the most important factors first. Typically, you start with the headline, you start with the keyword, then you go to the copy and offer. You just move your way systematically to test those variables. You'll see in many cases massive differences between the performance of one ad over another based on what you thought was a pretty insignificant change. However, it was not necessarily insignificant to your prospects. You can see huge changes of 30, 40, 50, 60, and even 70%. Are all those big gains, and I suggest you stop when you see gains of just 10% or less. At this point, it's kind of hard to say what you're really doing as far as making progress. There are bigger things you can do with your testing. Okay, so those are the 12 steps for effective PPC at your business. They really are kind of the fundamentals of PPC advertisement. All right, let's move on to Act 3. Some must-know tips and strategies if you want to take your PPC campaigns beyond just those fundamentals and give you the best chances of success. First of all, you have to make sure that when you're setting up your campaigns that you're separating search campaigns and your display campaigns. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, there's search advertising, which is what we've been talking about throughout this entire presentation. Then there's display advertisement. Display is a totally different form of advertising. These are the banner ads you see when you're out on a website. You see the big banner that goes up and down on the page or across the page. It has images and letters, and maybe it's flashing around, somebody's dancing on it, and stuff like that. That is display advertising. These are totally different forms of advertising, using totally different strategies, approaches, budgets, and all that other stuff. However, there's a very common mistake which people make when they're setting up their advertising campaigns in Google. And you know what? Shame on Google. I think for making it easy to make this mistake by making it the default. When you set up your campaign, your search campaign and your display network campaigns will actually be combined by default. You need to go in and click on display network only or search network only when you're creating your campaigns. Otherwise, your budget goes towards these blended campaigns. There should be different budgets, different strategies, and different tactics to try to make them work. You really want to separate your search and your display campaigns. This is fundamental that a lot of people do not know about. An advanced strategy is to test dynamic keyword insertion. Now, what is that? It's a big fancy phrase. Dynamic keyword insertion into an ad is essentially a way that you can take your search term that somebody typed in and automatically make it part of your ad. You can see that all these ads from sweetshop.com. Sweetshop.com is a shop that sells pretty much any type of candy, right? If you search for any phrase related to candies, chocolate bars, Stinger bars, brown bread, lollipops, they're automatically building an ad where they dynamically insert that search term into their ads. In this case, somebody typing in chocolate bars, and the title of their ad, chocolate bars, would be in the headline. They inserted chocolate bars here, and they inserted chocolate bars there. Okay? When the very same search was for Stinger bars, then Stinger bars was incorporated. For lollipops, lollipops was incorporated. You can dynamically insert those keywords into the ads, making the ads more relevant and essentially allowing you to have unlimited amount of ads. You can just say, hey, look, no matter what search for you're looking for in the legal term, go ahead and dynamically create an ad with that legal term in it. It's very, very cool technology, and it can be applied in a case like where you're trying to sell any type of legal service in your firm, and if your firm handles, more than one. It could also be used for local advertising in some pretty creative ways. There are a number of things you can do here. Next is use ad extensions. This is one of the most underutilized and most powerful things you can do to your ad campaign to take them to the next level. An ad extension is information you can add to your ad. It makes the ad stand out from other ads, and it will dramatically increase the responsiveness of those ads. Let me show you some examples here to make it really, really clear for you. What do I mean by information that you can add to your ad? Well, you can see here I did a search for DUI attorney. Well, if you do searches in the search engines now and start paying attention, you'll notice that some ads have additional information that others don't. There's a variety of things you can use. You can put in stars from your Google ratings. You can put in plussing or your content of your product or whatever you're using. Your social networking, you can see it. You can see sometimes. You can also put various types of tags, comments, and reviews. You can put information about your location. You can put your address and things like that in the ad. You can pretty much hyperlink and put your phone number in the ad. There are a number of ways that you can use this, and these ad extensions, and they're changing all the time as Google is thinking of new ways to roll it out. Take advantage of these ad extensions that you make your ads stand out dramatically versus the competitors' ads. Last but not least here, get off of Google. In my presentation here, you can see that with 90% of the content I mentioned, Google just because it's the gorilla in the marketplace. Of course, if you're doing search advertising, you probably be on Google. However, most people just focus 100% on Google and leave out some really interesting opportunities. As we said, Bing and Yahoo have about 30% of the marketplace, and now 7Search is a network that some of you have never even heard about. However, they actually have some pretty decent search volume. You can do search campaigns, PPC campaigns there as well. Look at other opportunities. You can get campaigns that definitely get cheaper clicks, better results than you do on Google. It's just because Google is that 800-pound gorilla. They do control the market to a large extent and control pricing. So it's pretty much more competitive. So consider getting off of Google and running your campaigns in other places. On that note, I want to say thanks. We're just a little under or over the 40-minute mark here, so I want to thank you and appreciate your time and appreciate you for joining us. As I said, I want to keep this to about 45 minutes, so let me help you get on your way. Now, before I let you get back to work, I want to say that this is what we do for a living. We help firms run PPC campaigns. We help them set it up. We help them optimize them and run them on an ongoing basis. We take over the complete management of those campaigns in many cases for our clients. Almost all cases, we do this in a way that you can actually see a positive ROI on the money spent with us within the first 30 days of working with us. Our fee is usually paid for almost immediately in the results that we get, either by improving your ad performance or decreasing the budget in your campaigns. If you're running PPC campaigns today or you're considering running PPC campaigns, we would love to have an opportunity to talk to you and to demonstrate how our services can be a positive ROI for your business almost right out of the gate. There's no hard sales pitch here, but you can see all around this presentation that we have our contact information, and we'd love to hear from you. Again, this is not some high-pressured sales pitch. If we look at your campaigns and we believe we can get you a positive ROI for our fee within the first 30 days, then we'll let you know and we'll put together a plan for you. If not, we'll also let you know that we can't and we don't think we can help you. If you're running campaigns or considering running campaigns, we'd love to be in touch with you. So, okay. Let's get to some questions here. Jim asks, what are the major differences and capabilities between the Google PPC network and those found in Bing, Yahoo, and 7Search? Great question, Jim. I would say that there are not that many big differences. Each search engine has subtle differences and nuances. I think the biggest difference between them is just the volume of prospects you'll find on the search engines. Google is much bigger than the other ones, and so there'll be a much more higher volume there. You'll also find through much higher competition on Google, and you'll find much higher costs, often for a pay-per-click basis. Technology-wise, I would say that they're very, very similar. I would say that that Bing and Yahoo have done a pretty good job through making their platform easier to use. I know Bing, you can actually import your Google AdWords settings, making it easier to basically, get going with their advertising platform. Now, I'm a big fan of Bing and Yahoo for their PPC network as well. Obviously, we still do most of our investment in Google, both for ourselves and for our clients. However, you have a really good opportunity in all of them. All right, let's get to the second question here. Julie says that they've raised their bid on their competitive keywords, but they're still not getting to that first position in the ad result, and they want to know what they can do about it. I'm assuming you're talking about Google here, right? Google in particular. Well, while you place your ads number one necessarily just because you're willing to pay more, they take other factors into account, such as how many people click on your ad. This is how they make money. Remember, this is by not just a click, but just on the bid. So they're considering the click-through rate of your ad. What happens to visitors after they click on that ad? Do they stay on your site when they seem engaged, or do they immediately see the page you sent them to and they bounce back? Google takes all these kinds of factors when they have quality control, and so it's not just money spent. If you're not getting as highly positioned as you would like, it's probably those other factors. We can certainly sit down and we can help you out with that. Now, Bing, Yahoo, and 7Search are a little less concerned about some of those other factors. You can usually bid your way more aggressively to the top. That might be something for you to try as well. Okay, so let's get to the next question. Carrie asks, what are the best practices for landing pages? We have a professional service law firm and we're looking for best practices on how to get our ads more productive once they made it into our landing page. It's great that you're looking at it like that. It's great that you're spending time also analyzing it and trying to make it better. It's a huge opportunity for anybody to improve their landing pages. Best practices for professional services usually include a handful of things. One is offering some sort of educational content. Often people coming and exploring your firm are yet not at the stage of, buying where they want to just hop on and talk with you or somebody right now. They're looking to do some investigation about your firm so they can use it to compare it to others. You want to have some sort of educational resource there that you can offer them to download. Once they've downloaded it, follow up with them using email or phone calls to reach out to them proactively. This is definitely a best practice. You can create white papers, presentations, recorded webinars like this. There's all kinds of things you can do to get them to opt in for that educational marketing perspective. I would add that you want to include your phone number on the landing pages. If you're not doing so, make it very prominently displayed. Again, many people want to just pick up the phone and call, but many don't want to opt in. And so you want them to download something that they can have and that they can read on their own time. Test having the phone number on there and make sure that you have the call tracking being utilized for that phone number as well. In most cases with landing pages, remove the options of people so that in many places, a lot of the beginner marketers think that they have to give their visitors options to visit the rest of their website, but this is usually counter to getting them to convert on what you want them to convert. Test limiting options, basically. So set it up, for them and do it one thing or maybe just two things. Maybe they can opt in for the white paper or presentation you've created for them, or just pick up the phone and call you. Don't have links that will take them out to other areas of your website or anything like that. Then again, it's all a test. It's it's the beauty of this form of marketing. It's very trackable and it's very testable. Whatever I tell you in this speculation is pretty much my, based on theory and based also on, proven best practices. But we're constantly testing things and testing new ways. So, that's how we set up these systems so that they're effective and they measure up to the data pretty much of what we have to back up. So anyway, all right, those were the 3 good questions